Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 55 of Can We Talk About Your WordPress Projects? Today, we're going to talk about why you should stop selling websites. Before we do that, let me remind you these video episodes are brought to you by the WP Project Managers Academy, the only place on the web where you can learn to consistently get your WordPress projects completed on time, within budget, with features that meet the client's business requirements without sacrificing profit. I also want to remind you we're using StreamYard to go live. If you want me to see your comment and who makes that comment in the chat, be sure to give StreamYard permission to let me see your name. Otherwise, it just shows me Facebook user. Let me make sure I've got the chat open. If you're watching this live, please give me a comment. Let me know you're there. If you're watching the replay, let me know you're watching the replay. That would be really helpful. Okay, let's talk about why you should stop selling websites. This is a bit more of a rant than usual because I'm getting really tired of those of us who are technically oriented and geeky. All we want to do is focus on the website and what should the website look like? What kind of website do you want? And that sort of thing with our clients. That is absolutely the wrong way to do things. Everybody can create websites these days. There's a ton of people out there creating websites, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, especially due to what I like to refer to as the recent unpleasantness. Due to COVID, there's a whole lot more people getting in the game these days, and they're happy to be button pushers. They're happy to go out and sell websites. But if you really want to be a professional agency, or a professional provider of websites, you need to stop focusing solely on the website. The website is one piece of solving the client's business problem. You need to present yourself as something other than a button pusher. You need to present yourself as a solution provider. You've heard me talk before about how project management can go a long way, being a good project manager and showing your client how you can circumvent typical project management problems like scope creep and content collection, the bottleneck there and all of that, how project management can help and set you apart as a professional. That's true, but it goes further than that. You need to sell solutions. And to do that, you need to fully understand the business problem the website is supposed to solve. The kicker part is you can actually charge more if you are positioning yourself as a solution provider as opposed to simply a website builder. But let's say the business objective of the website is they just want an online presence. They're doing like a 5-page brochure site or something like that. But that's still not solving the problem if what they want is a web presence, because a website is not the only thing you need. There's sort of a trifecta there. If what the client is looking for is a simple brochure website, they want to get a website presence, then you need a website, but you also need Google My Business, and you need social media, possibly a Facebook page, possibly a Facebook group, an Instagram account. Doesn't matter what the social media channels are, but you need those three things if what you're trying to provide for your client is an online presence. Even the smallest of websites probably has more of a business objective than just, I need a website because I have this new business. You need to find out, what does the client expect the website to do for their business? What business problem does it solve? To be a good solution provider, you need to dig really deep into your client's business problems. Now, Troy Dean talks about the why, right? You ask the client, why do you want a website? And then they tell you, and whatever their answer is, it doesn't matter. The next question is why? And then the next question after that is why, until you dig all the way down into what business problem they're trying to solve. I'm glancing at my notes. I was going to do this just totally off the cuff, but then I decided I knew I would forget to say something if I did that. I have some bulleted notes over here. Okay, so how do you do this deep dive? Well, you've heard me talk about the 2-step proposal process, and I'm going to give you an example of how this actually happened on my current project, how I was able to up the price because what they needed was not what they said they needed. But I'll tell you about that in a minute. The 2-step proposal process, this is the short version, basically is during the pre-proposal process, you do a discovery, a short discovery, usually an hour, hour and a half with the client to find out what it is they really need. Then you do your proposal where you give a range estimate of time and a range estimate of cost. The first phase of now they're already under contract, and the contract says if our second estimate at the end of the deep dive comes in that range, then we just continue on. That first phase is the deep dive discovery, where you get in and you really delve down into everything they need and want. We break that down into the sitemap, the content specification, the functional requirements, the style and branding, and all of that is broken down. So at the end of the deep dive, what we come out with is a full website spec. But during that deep dive, you could likely find out, and it's almost 100% certain you're going to find out things you did not consider when you created your first proposal. At the end of the deep dive, we've got our website spec, and we provide the client with a second estimate. If that estimate exceeds the range we gave them in the first estimate, in the first proposal, then let's say if it doesn't, we continue on to the next phase. It falls in that range. If it exceeds that range, then I give the client the option to cancel. If they do, which they hardly ever do, then we give them the website spec. You've gotten a deposit that covered that whole piece. So you've gotten paid for it. You hand it over and they can go try to find somebody cheaper. If you can't provide the full solution after the deep dive, if there's things you discover that you don't have the capability to do, you don't just stop there. You find someone to do it. You either wrap that person into your project team and include that in that second estimate, or you can refer your client directly to someone else. I usually try to wrap those people into my project team as a short-term project for them. Here's the example with the current client that I'm working for. When I first did the proposal, what they said they wanted was they simply needed to reorganize their category structure. Right now they have a catalog site. It was with custom post types and has prices on it, but they don't have any e-commerce. They wanted to reorganize all of their structure for their categories and things like that. They had gotten out of kilter. And they also wanted to add e-commerce so they could provide curbside pickup. It's a furniture store, so they could provide curbside pickup of the furniture. Well, as we got into the deep dive, and part of that was, if it was possible, they'd really like to be able to sync the website and their in-store point of sale system or POS system. I knew that would be complicated, and I was not confident it was even possible, but we couldn't find that out before we did the proposal. So we made sure we had enough range in there to cover if we discovered anything like that. We got in there. We started talking. They did need new categories, but what they were really looking for was that filtering system you have on an e-commerce site where you've got all those filters on the left, like Amazon, where you can drill down what you're actually looking for. That was different than just reorganizing categories. Also, their data was an absolute mess. What comes out of that POS system has not nearly the detail that is needed for the website. And they list the inventory items separately in their POS system for, say, a headboard and a footboard and then bed rails. Those have to be grouped together because it's really just one product when you sell it on the website. But for their POS system, it's 3 products. So way complicated, right? The first estimate was already 5 figures. The second estimate came in at $5,500 extra to do all of that data management and help them sort out their data. They're not using consistent titles. They're not using the consistent way of naming things. And the stuff that comes out of the POS system is very short and not long enough to be, say, a product title. So there's all this data management and business processes that go along with that. They have a business process in their merchandising department, and a lot of those are going to have to be changed so they can keep these things synced together. That's why you need to position things. You can do a deep dive and position things so after the deep dive, you can provide a second estimate without going through the change order, negotiating every change and how much that's going to be. What a bear that is. As most of you know, inside the WP Project Managers Academy, I teach you how to do. This is a fairly short session today. I really just wanted to come on here and rant and stop positioning yourself as a website builder. You are a solution provider. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out and change all your branding, change everything you have on your website, your company title, or anything like that. I'm just saying that when you present yourself to the customer, beef up your project management skills, show them how you can take care of that. Do a serious deep dive, and don't give a precise estimate until you've done that serious deep dive. Some people do that as a separate project and they get paid for that. If you can sell that, fine. I like wrapping it into the entire project, because that way, if we come in within that first range, everything's good to go and we just keep going. Then, of course, we use our change control process if we find changes after we finish the website spec, where we think we've got everything laid out. If there are changes that come later, you have a good change control process that uses a change budget, and that takes care of that. Here's what you need to remember. Don't be a button pusher. There are way many of those out there right now. You're not going to be able to compete on price with a button pusher. When you set yourself as a solution provider and you help them solve their business problems, whether you solve it directly or you refer to other people to solve different parts of it. Let's say, for example, you've sold the customer on that they need to beef up their Google My Business, but you don't know anything about Google My Business. You can find people who do. Trisha Clements is one you could hit up and see if she's available to help with something like that. Let's say you don't really want to handle someone's social media. There are tons of people out there who do. So go find yourself somebody who can handle this client's social media. Make sure you've got the proper processes in place to do a deep dive discovery, so all the business problems are identified, and then figure out a way to solve them, whether it's you solving them or someone else. Because I don't have all those skills either, trust me. I was fortunate in this case because I do have a database background. So I was able to figure out exactly what was going on and to do some fancy mapping between their POS system and what WooCommerce needs in order to make this happen. But if I didn't, and I had this already in the budget, if I didn't have that, I was definitely going to go out and find somebody to help me. Because I guarantee if you solve the business problems for your clients, they will keep coming back to you. Even if they cancel, if you use our two-step proposal process and they cancel after you give them the website spec, I guarantee you when problems come up, when things get hairy, they will come back to you because you've already positioned yourself as a professional. I'm a professional project manager. I know how to get things done on time within budget. I'm a professional solution provider because I'm going to help you identify these problems. And if I can't solve them for you, I'm going to help you find someone who can. That is what you need to be positioning yourself for in the future. So that's all for today. We will not be having a Friday chat this week because I am leaving Friday for a week's vacation in North Myrtle Beach. Until I see you again, either on a pre-recorded video, on a live, or in our next chat, remember, stay productive, stay strong, and never stop learning. I'll see you soon, guys. Thank you.